What is up, everybody? My name is Kevin, and today I decided to do a Cartoon Network tier list. You guys really liked my Disney and Nickelodeon tier lists, and so if you haven't seen that yet, please do because they were a lot of fun. But I decided, hey, I loved Cartoon Network too growing up as a kid, and I have a bunch of these shows that I truly love. So if you're into this type of movie and TV show content, please subscribe and like this video, ring the bell so you stay notified. But let's not waste any more time. Let's hop right into the list. First, we have the Powderpuff Girls. And let me just say, some people love the Powderpuff Girls. This is the original run right here. And some some of the characters in this show are so iconic. I really liked Bubbles growing up as a kid, but overall, it's not S tier for me. I don't have a huge emotional attachment. I know some people they really do, but for me, honestly, I don't remember a lot of the episodes. Some of it just is starting to blend in for me, and I think another show that came out later really kind of hurt the reputation of the Powderpuff Girl brand as a whole for me, and so I think for that reason, it has to go down a little bit more. But next, we have Johnny Bravo. I'm gonna put Johnny Bravo in B tier. The funny thing about Johnny Bravo is he is so pronounced all over like the Cartoon Network marketing. He was a very popular character, and I rarely saw reruns of the show. I mean, I was a 2000s kid, and I was towards the end of when this show was either airing or rerunning, and so I didn't see a bunch of episodes of this. I saw a couple, which it made it qualify for this list. I had to see at least five of these episodes to be able to remember stuff about it. But Johnny Bravo, I always remember him over the marketing. I just wish I saw more of him, and for that reason, he has to go in B tier. Sorry if that's your favorite show. Similar conversation for Dexter's Laboratory. I know Dexter's Laboratory. It's one of the first shows of Cartoon Network, at least one of the more popular early shows for them. And the most I know about this show, to be honest with you, and that I remember mostly, is just watching YouTube videos about banned episodes of the show and that their humor went a little bit too far. So overall, I wish I saw more of this, but it really does give me Johnny Test vibes, which we're going to talk about the show later, which I love it. But again, has to go B tier. I'm sorry if this was your show growing up. Ed, I forget the other two names. I'm gonna put them in also B tier. Again, this early Cartoon Network era for me, I only saw a couple episodes at a time. So if I ever had interest in these characters, I would just see one episode and then I wouldn't be able to see another one for like 2 weeks because they would rarely rerun these shows. And so for that reason, it definitely goes down for me. But I know these characters are also very popular as well. And so out of respect for everyone who really liked this show, I gotta put it up there. Courage the Cowardly Dog. I think this is gonna be our first S tier, guys. If you didn't see the thumbnail of this video, I really like Courage the Cowardly Dog. I mean, he reminds me of Scooby Doo in a sense, which, by the way, we're going to go over Hanna-Barbera and Warner Bros. TV shows because I consider seeing most of those on the Cartoon Network channel. But man, Courage, he was a beast in a show. That show was not only scary, but it was fun. It was enjoyable. I mean, he is just very iconic. I cannot believe he isn't more popular than he is. And I think he's severely underrated. And for that reason, he has to go S tier. I think most people would put him in A tier, but that show is just so good. I will sometimes catch shows or like clips on TikTok and I have to stop and watch it because it is so entertaining. Okay, so this is the Justice League animated show. I think it went for 2 or so years. And I used to watch a lot of these on DVD, these episodes. And I liked it. I liked the just the Justice League animated TV show because you got to see a lot of the good characters. The character dynamics were good. I'm gonna put this in bottom of B tier though. I never was as into the like the superhero animated shows, which is funny because I really like some of the Cartoon Network ones, but this one for me, for whatever reason, was not as good in my opinion, and so I definitely had to go into B tier. Next, we have Kids Next Door. And I think this is another severely underrated Cartoon Network show. I have to put it underneath Powderpuff Girls because Powderpuff Girls, they're just iconic. But The Kids Next Door, I don't remember much about the plot or the characters' names. And this was a little bit before my time as well. But man, I loved just watching the show. I binge watched it. I don't remember where I did. It could have been on Netflix or something like that. And I thought the story was so good. I thought it was very entertaining. And so for that reason, out of pure nostalgia of just watching them, even though I don't remember a single thing, I have to rewatch the show. It has to go into A tier. Okay, this one, The Grim Reaper show. I remember this show being hilarious. And I'm also going to put this in B tier, but I'm going to put this like right above Johnny Bravo. Again, some of these really early Cartoon Network shows, I don't remember a single thing because I was so young, and it's really hard to find these shows and try and stream them. I'm assuming you can do it on like Boomerang, or there has to be shows available on Warner Bros. Or something like that on whatever streaming platform. But again, that show is so funny. It's not as funny as some of the later shows in the Cartoon Network era, but it was really funny. Teen Titans. I'm gonna piss people off with this tier list because listen, Teen Titans. I maybe watched a season of this, guys, and I'm gonna put this low B tier because you know what? I prefer another Teen Titans show. I prefer another Teen Titans show, but man, the Teen Titans group is just awesome. They're really entertaining, and I do like that they have the seriousness here compared to Teen Titans Go, which we're going to talk about later. But this show is good, not as good as people claim it is, but personally, it is in my B tier. Justice League Unlimited. This was like the revival show of the Justice League, and I don't remember nearly liking it as much, so it has to go to C tier. I don't understand I don't know what the backstory is behind them having to reboot or having to come back a couple years later and doing Justice League Unlimited. But I remember not liking this one as much compared to the first one. And so for that reason, has to go in the tier below. Chowder. Chowder was funny. Chowder was pretty funny. And that for that reason, it's going to go right behind Dexter's Laboratory. The one unsettling thing about the show that I remember was that it would randomly cut to like real life footage of like random stuff. If I remember correctly, there might have been one thing where it was like the inside of someone's mouth. And it was kind of disgusting. But other than that, I do think that this show was funny, and the character of Chowder is also funny. And so I always gravitated to the funnier characters, in my opinion. So, okay. People are going to be mad. Ben 10. Let's just get this straight about Ben 10. We're going to rip the Band-Aid off. Okay? We're going to rip the Band-Aid off. We're going to rip it off. Okay, guys. I was not into Ben 10. I was about to say Big 10 for football. Ben 10 was not my guy. I did not think his superpowers were that cool, or at least with the ring. I know some people are going to be mad at that, but whenever I saw this guy on TV, I would just switch to SpongeBob. And that's the unfortunate truth. And I think if I really took the time to rewatch this show, or at least watch one of them, because there's a million of these shows now, I think I would like it. I think I would. It's just, I'm sorry. Let me know what show I should watch of Ben 10. Please, down in the comments. Batman Brave and the Bold. I'm going to make what I want for DCU Batman video later this week. And this is what I want. This Batman, I want him. He's going into A tier. Because, listen, he is just so... Batman is so funny. He's so funny in the show. And I loved how he was able to partner up with a bunch of random heroes. Not saying he has to do that in the movie. He doesn't have to become the equivalent of Tom Holland Spider-Man in the MCU, where he has to be partnered up with someone all the time. But Plastic Man in the show was phenomenal. I loved all the fantastical elements, and that's what I want to see from DCU Batman. And so for that reason, I really like this, and they had a really good video game too that really boosted my nostalgia for this. So definitely A tier. Young Justice. This is a criminally underrated show that got canceled really soon, and this is also going A tier because I used to have the toys of this team too. Of I believe I had Robin, and I forget the other characters. But man, Young Justice, this show was great. I actually binge watched it too. It was around the time when I was watching all these shows, or at least some of the favorites, and trying to get into them. But Young Justice was really good. So I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Criminally underrated. Lanterns. Guys, I remember this being trash. I hated the art style, and I was already a little bit mad after Justice League Unlimited, but this was bad. This was around the era where they were trying to push Green Lantern down our throats, even with like the Ryan Reynolds movie, and man, Green Lantern, I can't believe they keep doing you dirty, my boy. Uncle Grandpa, I'm pretty sure. This is like really brain rot humor, and I'm gonna just put in C. I don't remember it being nearly as funny as like some of the other shows, and it was just very lame. So for that reason, C tier. Sorry, guys. Steven Universe. Here's my take on Steven Universe. Not my show, guys. I think C tier, I can see how people would enjoy it. But personally, like, not my show, guys. If I do like the character of Steven, and some of the songs are great. I mean, I won't completely trash this show because I know it really has its audience. Not for me though. So we have to accept that this show was just not my thing, and I always prefer the more comedic uh, shows, like I was saying earlier. So for that reason, has to go C tier. Clarence. Clarence is B tier, and it's gonna go kind of high, like higher B tier because Clarence was funny. Clarence, it took what Uncle Grandpa wasn't funny at and really made it funny. If you're gonna go brain rot humor, you gotta go full brain rot, and Clarence was hilarious, and so it's definitely up there. We Bare Bears. This is also going into B tier, and I think We Bare Bears is gonna go right over Chowder. This show is just so relaxing, and I always liked putting it on in the background. And it's just like, wow, these bears, they're so chill with each other, right? The panda bear, the brown bear, the polar bear, they're just chilling. They go on adventures, and so just out of pure enjoyment, I think it has to go in that. It is just so entertaining. Powder Puff Girls, and this is the new one. This is going into trash. I remember being so annoyed by this show compared to the original, which is so great. And again, what's up with them trying to ruin Powder Puff Girls, right? They try to make a live action CW show, and they had to cancel it because what is this? Why are we trying to do this? And why are we trying to ruin the Powder Puff Girls? And it's just like all the characters, they sound more annoying. The animation is a little too fancy for my taste, and so it has to go into trash. That is my personal vendetta against this show. Unikitty. I don't remember much about Unikitty, guys. Excuse me. But man, Unikitty, I love the Lego movie, but I remember being severely disappointed by this show as well. And so it has to go C tier. It's just one of those things where so much time and effort wasted on this kids show that like no one really watched, which is sad. Craig the Creek. I think Craig of the Creek was actually pretty solid, but it's gonna go low B tier for me. I also remember having chill vibes here, going through the forest, which I think that's like a nice theme. Have kids go outside, get away from technology. I always thought that was a good idea for a show. And I always thought Craig was a good character too. So for that reason, definitely B tier. Looney Tunes Babies. I believe this was their answer to Muppet Babies. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But man, Looney Tunes Babies, I don't remember much about this. This has got to go bottom of C tier. I just remember always preferring Muppet Babies, but I do love the Looney Tunes. I think we're starting to get into Hanna-Barbera and the Warner Bros. Animated stuff. So if you guys are going to tag me in the comments, these were predominantly playing on Cartoon Network. So keep that in mind. Teen Titans Go. Guys, I think Teen Titans Go is S tier. People are going to crash out because I put Teen Titans Go 2 tiers above and they think Teen Titans was criminally underrated. Teen Titans Go is hilarious. It is hilarious. I mean, all the songs in the show are so memorable. Like The Night Begins to Shine, the all the songs about food too are so funny. Beast Boy, Robin, all the characters, they're all entertaining. It's not just one or two people carrying the entire cast. They're all entertaining. They all have good moments. And the Teen Titans Go movie, guys, criminally underrated. If you haven't watched it, highly recommend. We Baby Bears. So I think this, correct me if I'm wrong, this show is based off of an episode of We Bare Bears. And I do think that this show is also cute. So I'm going to put this low end of B tier as well. Not as good as We Bare Bears in my opinion, but I know there's a crowd for this. I think this started coming out towards the end of my Cartoon Network era. And so for that reason, can't put it any higher. Okay. I think this is What's New Scooby-Doo. This is going S tier. Scooby-Doo, if you guys don't know, is just one of my favorite cartoons. I mean, the Scooby-Doo movies that came out, just animated and live action, I love all of them. I mean, it's very hard for you to ruin Scooby-Doo in my eyes. And I think this show, or like, I would have DVDs of all these seasons, and man, the theme song is awesome by Simple Plan. And just all the episodes, there was really inventive stuff there. And I was always entertained. I'll always remember when they were in Japan for one of these episodes, and it was just so scary. I loved it. I loved Scooby-Doo so much. Tom and Jerry. My issue with Tom and Jerry, guys, I think Tom and Jerry's trash. And I think Tom and Jerry is one of my least favorite shows. And it's just because why would you ever want to be on Jerry's side? You just see Jerry just destroy Tom whenever he gets the chance. And it's just not entertaining at all. I mean, like, this show is so boring, and I hate Jerry. I hope Tom gets him, because rats and mice suck. But man, Tom and Jerry, it's just like the worst show because you always feel bad for Tom. So I forget about it. Adventure Time. I think this is going to be more based off of respect than anything. But Adventure Time is going into A tier, and it's going to go right above Batman, Brave and the Bold. Adventure Time, my issue with Adventure Time is not, that doesn't have as much to do with the show itself, but I didn't watch this much as a kid. I was more into the SpongeBob and Fairly Odd Parents Nickelodeon stuff when the show was really in its prime, and I started not being allowed to watch Cartoon Network as much when this show came on, because with Adult Swim and everything, it was hard to tell when it was going to cut over to something crazy. And so for that reason, I didn't watch as much Adult Swim or Adventure Time, even though Adventure Time wasn't a part of Adult Swim. So for that reason, I heard this show was great. I just haven't watched enough of it, and I think if I did watch the entire thing, I'd really love it. So, Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, this is also S tier. I watched this show more on Netflix than Cartoon Network, but I know it was really running well on Cartoon Network. And this is a show that also got cut too soon. I mean, it is so great. Scooby-Doo, I mean, the animation style is great, and they really took a new twist or a new they framed the Scooby Doo story in a lot of different ways. And it was emotional, it was serious, it was scary, and you actually believe that all the characters were at risk. And so, for that reason, it's definitely S tier, one of my favorite Scooby Doo projects. Regular show. Regular show is a vibe. And I think it's going to go right above, or right below, I should say, Powderpuff Girls. This is another show where I didn't know if it was Adult Swim or not, so I didn't want to mess around with it too much. But over the years, I've watched a bunch of these episodes, and I have to find the time to watch this entire show because Mordecai and Rigby, iconic characters, and everyone else in the cast is just so. Benson is just so hilarious too. The humor is my type of humor, and so for that reason, it has to be in my A tier. It's definitely anything in my S and A tier. I seriously recommend to anybody. So if you haven't watched any of these shows, please do. Amazing World of Gumball, guys. I think because of my sister, Amazing World of Gumball is going into S tier. I watched this show so much, and it is just so entertaining. All the music, the colors, it is just the best humor ever. I don't remember the dad's name, but he's the MVP. But man, it is just so entertaining and so much fun. If you haven't watched Amazing World of Gumball, it is hilarious. And I think they're making a revival show. If someone wants to comment down below and let me know. The Looney Tunes, and I think this is the newer Looney Tunes. And I was not a big fan of these either. I think this can go into the same conversation as Powderpuff Girls. My issue with Looney Tunes is I love the old stuff, and I love the Looney Tunes movies. Space Jams, Looney Tunes Back in Action is like one of my favorite movies too. And I always thought that the new series was trash. It is so boring. I feel like they mischaracterize a lot of the characters, and it's really becomes like a Bugs Bunny show, which to me, I felt like the best part about Looney Tunes was everybody. Everyone has their own thing. It's almost like the Muppets, right? Kermit might be the main character, but you also care about Fozzie and Gonzo and all these other characters, and so for that reason, it's trash, in my opinion. Johnny Test. Johnny Test, guys, this is also going into bottom of S tier. Johnny Test has one of the best theme songs, and I forget the dog's name, but the dog was an absolute chiller. I really like Johnny Test and just like all the shenanigans that they went on with the two like scientific sisters, I believe. But man, that show so super entertaining, and I used to watch it a lot as a kid. I haven't watched any episodes recently, but man, is that show entertaining. Flintstones. I honestly think the Flintstones, I like the live action more than probably the animated stuff. And so for that reason, it's going to go into like B tier for me. It's just not my time either. I know like the Hanna-Barbera, they were showing the cartoons on different channels, and the Flintstones, I know who the Flintstones are. I think 20 years from now, people aren't going to know. But again, it's the same conversation with the Jetsons. I respect the Flintstones and the Jetsons more than I actually probably enjoy them. I just recommend just watching the live action Flintstones movie if you're considering it, to be honest. Yogi Bear. I found out about Yogi Bear because of the horrible live action Yogi Bear movie and because he had a crossover with Scooby Doo at some point. And so I watched some of his show, but I think it's just a mediocre show. And you know what? I'm gonna put some respect on Steven Universe's name. It's definitely better than Yogi Bear. Yogi Bear. I don't think any kid nowadays knows who Yogi Bear is, which is sad, but definitely C tier. Looney Tunes. I just chose a random photo of this, but I think Looney Tunes of like the actual old cartoons has to go in A tier. Looney Tunes are just iconic, and at least the old cartoons were really funny and enjoyable, and so definitely has to be an A tier for me. Total Drama Island, guys. Total Drama Island is definitely high A tier for me. It is just a show that I've watched religiously so many times. I love the whole reality TV show aspect. Maybe in a couple years so I can get on one. But man, it is so funny. And I love Chef. I love Chris. Just Trent, Owen, all the characters. Ezekiel, he shows up randomly throughout all the seasons. It is so entertaining, and it is like not like kid appropriate at all. But I watched this so many times on Netflix. I highly recommend it. It's a really good parody show, and I cannot believe we don't have like something like this, but for Love Island yet. So that is my proposal, guys. For Cartoon Network, make Total Drama Island, but Love Island themed. You already did it for the amazing. You already did it for the Amazing Race. You could do it for anything else. Please do it for Love Island. Thanks. Casper Scare School. I actually thought Casper Scare School was good for what it was, so I'm gonna put it at bottom of B. I did like Casper growing up as a kid, at least the movie, and I know some of the cartoons were really good, but again, doesn't have the longevity. People don't talk about this show, they probably don't even know it exists. Garfield. This show has gotten a revival, especially with the Scientology memes of people trying to raid inside of the Scientology buildings. But man, it is good. I think it's A tier. I used to watch the show a lot. I used to watch Garfield movies a lot. And even though they're like guilty pleasures for me, this show was entertaining. And I thought the animation style, while it was kind of crappy, like the Toy Story type of 3D animation, it is good in my opinion. I really liked it and I highly recommend. Ninjago. Ninjago is going to go in S tier for me. It was more the early stuff where I really liked Ninjago. I was more into other Lego properties, but just seeing Ninjago on here was just so awesome. I loved the shows, all the different characters, and I liked all the different, like Kai was cool. So it has to go S tier. If Ninjago isn't an S tier for you, there's something seriously wrong in my opinion. Clone Wars. This is also going to go into S tier. We're starting to get into the territory where, yeah, like Clone Wars, it was more on Disney XD for like the later seasons, but the first couple seasons they played Star Wars: The Clone Wars all the time, and so I really liked the first couple seasons of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and I always remember watching it on Cartoon Network, and so it has to go S tier for me. Clone Wars is an awesome show if you haven't watched it. Goosebumps. Goosebumps is second for me. People are going to fight this. I watched most of this on DVD and Netflix, but man, Goosebumps, it's one of the best just gateway horror shows or just horror projects like for anything. I even like the movies. The movies are entertaining. There's so many iconic characters from the books. Slappy. I always like the one with the episode with when they go to the amusement park and there's the monsters and they get trapped. I was always so scared. The Shuriken head. There are so many crazy and creepy episodes in this show, and so it definitely has to be S tier. And now we're gonna finish off with some crappy reality TV. And I think it's only fair we base and rate whichever one higher that I think I'd be better at. And so we have Hole in the Wall and Wipeout. Hole in the Wall, to me, I watched a couple times, the same amount as Wipeout. And Hole in the Wall was always kind of dumb to me because it was nearly impossible to get through some of the stuff. Whereas Wipeout, you have to like jump and not try to slip over the egregiously large, soaking wet, like random things. And so for that reason, I think I would be better at Wipeout. I think I can just like fling myself over the ball and just hope I can swing on something. Whereas like Hole in the Wall, I might be too big to fit in half of the stuff. And so for that reason, it's got to be B tier, and Hole in the Wall is going to go C tier. So what do you guys think of this video? I hope you guys enjoy this type of content. Let me know any type of other tier lists you want me to do, especially with like Disney, Cartoon Network, or Nickelodeon. I really enjoy doing them, but let me know what you would change down below. I really have enjoyed seeing some of your guys' tier lists too in the comments. And again, my name is Kevin, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.